conference, someone who is in a national semifinal in the USLW. We now bring in Willie Davis, the head coach of North Carolina Courage's U23s. Coach, as always, it's great to see you. Great to have you on the show, and that usually means that you're making another deep playoff run. It is John, it is Maddie, and it is Nick. Welcome to the show.
Nice to chat with you guys, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
It's been another deep playoff run for you in USLW, and I know that this is the expectation for you and everyone within the Courage organization. So what's it like to be in the national semifinals again?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we were striving for, and, I looked at the Final Four a couple days ago and realized I think we're the only returning team to it. So, it's an achievement that we were gunning for, and you never know if it can happen 2 years in a row. So we're excited to be in this position.
Maddie Cruz, first question for Coach Davis is the North Carolina Courage are in the USLW National Semifinals, right-hand side of the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go back just looking at Tennessee SC and seeing kind of what they bring to the table. What are you expecting for this matchup between you guys?
I'm expecting, Tennessee is a youth organization, and within their semi-pro league, they produce some good players that play at some high-level universities, and we typically do the same. I think our model is a little different because we also use a decent amount of youth players in our U23 format, which is always great. I've watched a little bit of their game against Asheville, and I know they've had a couple battles with Asheville this year, who was previously in our conference, and they got a really nice goal to get them put themselves in position. So I'd imagine it to be a pretty competitive contest, and good soccer for people to come out and watch.
Nick Khalifi for Willie Davis is North Carolina Courage is in a national semi in the USLW League. Go for it.
All right, got a bit of a psychology question for you. So win or go home, it's easy for especially younger athletes to get into their head in these situations and put too much pressure on themselves. How do you balance the need for urgency with the need to just play the game? When you talk to players, how do you teach them to sort of handle that critical anxiety of a win or go home match?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's a unique situation when you're dealing with the USL-W League players because you don't have them year round. So the psychological impact and how quickly you have to try to get them on point with whatever your mission is on the year can be a challenging one. But I think what we do is we start out with having a ton of players who have come through our youth program. So we have an alumni base, which is unbelievable. So first and foremost, we don't have to force a style of play very often. It is rare. It is very rare. So that's a great thing. So our game itself doesn't fail us much because most of our players know what Courage is supposed to play like from top to bottom. And two, we're lucky we're in the ACC belt and what have you, that other different schools, we got a lot of top level players who have been in some crunch situations. So they kind of have that mindset, be it from, really high level daily training within their universities or the games they play in within their conferences. And then our youth players that we bring in, we're lucky. The youth players that we still have involved, I think all of them except for maybe one just finished playing in a national playoff in Seattle. And 5 of those kids that just played with us in the last round were, advanced out of bracket in Seattle against top teams around the country. So I try to keep a sense of calm in the camp itself. Don't focus much on winning because our mindset is, that's what we know we're trying to do. So we don't talk about it a lot. Make the training environment as competitive as possible, and just go after it from there.
So then, do you focus still on yourselves in these situations with the quick turnarounds and the weekends where you're having to advance and survive and advance kind of a thing? And because of the familiarity with the system, do you get to spend more time on your opponent than you would otherwise in a situation like this? Or is it still, I'm going to focus on us, we're going to do our thing, so we're at 100% when we go up against these opponents?
Yeah, 85-90% is focusing on us. One, you brought up the quick turnaround, the recovery piece. We played on Friday and Sunday and traveled 6 hours on the bus there and back. And I felt like we managed the kids really well. But, the Monday the Monday was a travel day home, so that was a recovery day for the most part. Today will be a bit of a recovery day, fairly light. Tomorrow we'll go after it and talk tactics a bit and put some things into play for our opponent, and then play Saturday. But for the most part, I mean, when you have situations like this, and you give an example, we played Friday, I watched film, did our pregame meeting, gave the kids bits of information, a little bit of video clips of stuff. And then the Sunday game was a quick turnaround, and it was really hot in Mechanicsburg. We just did basically recovery over those next 2 days, that day in between, talked about our opponent, showed them some clips again as well. And we'll do the same here. We'll focus on Tennessee a bit, but it's really about what we're going to do to try to take away their game. We go from there.
Maddie Cruz for Willie Davis.
I mean, just looking at what you guys have been able to accomplish this season, I mean, it's your 13th straight win this season after you guys faced off against Long Island Rough Riders to make it here. How proud are you of your team this season and what you guys have accomplished and getting back here to another national semifinal for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and it's great to have. It's great to have players that are committed to whatever our cause and our mission is. And, these are not paid professionals. They don't have to be here for any of the teams that are in this position. And, we're lucky enough to have a base, like I said, of former Courage kids, youth players, but also players who have gotten wind of, what our environment's like and what they want to be a part of. And, it puts us in this position. And I mean, pride is probably the best word to put it, because you're right. We've been on a bit of run and we hope we can keep it up. But, the team has lost, 2 games in 3 years, and one of them being the national finals last year. And I think everybody knows, being in sports, it's always difficult to get back to whatever that promised land is, that top level is. And so it's really exciting for the kids. It's exciting to have this opportunity. And I'm very, very proud of what they've accomplished so far.
Nick Alifi for Willie Davis.
All right, I'm going to come at you from left field yet again, Coach, because here's the thing. I am a nerd about certain things. And one thing, we are in July. Last time I checked, I'm looking at the calendar now. Yep, we're still in July. For a lot of parents out there who have their kids in sports, they have their kids, practicing, training, being a part of teams, please, God, talk to these parents about the importance of proper hydration, because I keep having conversations with people and they're like, oh yeah, my kid's drinking sodas and whatnot. And, are you focusing on hydration at all? No, not really. But we can't figure out why he keeps picking up injuries and whatnot. Please talk to these parents about the importance of damn hydration, especially on a short turnaround.
Yeah, I don't know if you're being a nerd about it or if you're just being super passionate, but
he's also a dad who has athletes for kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I have 2 daughters that are in our Courage program that it's funny you bring that up. I've been in this business for a while. I've played at a good level. I've coached at a good level, and my wife played at a high level as well. And she's a physical therapist and has worked with athletes. And with all of the education we provide our kids, it's an everyday battle. And that's just, it's kids. And I mean, I'd be the first to tell you, I think when I played consistently, I probably wasn't the best at it either, but when I look at where kids are now, and, you bring up the hydration piece, and I'll take it a step further and say, in our club side, we push and talk a ton about overtraining, about lack of recovery, about obviously lack of hydration and nutrition. And we try to implement some things to help. But it is the world we live in, and people think that more sometimes is better, and it's just not. And the proper health, I mean, we've all been there. When you're young, you feel like you're invincible. So kids don't get it until it's too late sometimes, So yeah, I definitely believe in what you're talking about. We push it. I think when we were just gone in Mechanicsburg, we had a great support staff with our intern Lily and our one of the main operational people for the women's team, Lexi. They did a great job making sure our players did not miss the boat on anything. So, in this environment, you've got to purposely not try to be hydrated or recover. On the other side of it, parents, yeah, he's right. You just got to be better at helping our kids with it.
When it comes to North Carolina Courage and everything that either we're talking the NWSL side with their championships, which you've been building there on the U23 side in the USL-W League, and the pedigree that is being established, every single season with the pipelines and the new folks that come in, how do you keep the pressure from getting to these young athletes while they understand what the end game is? Because to me, that seems like it's a real difficult balance to sit there and go, yes, we have this pedigree, we have these goals and aspirations, but we don't want you to get bogged down with the pressure that's attached to the expectation. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the landscape's ever changing. I mean, I think the pressure. And you mentioned in-game. I think the in-game's changed for kids even more because so many of our female athletes are now really looking at the professional side more. The NWSL was always the promised land, I guess, for the professional side. And now you have the USL Super League that's starting up. You have more kids that go to Europe to cut their teeth if they can't, cut it here in the States, because the game in the States is a different type of game than it is in the European world. I think pressure is interesting. I mean, it's I think it was what Billie Jean King that said, pressure is a privilege, and I think that it's teaching kids that pressure is okay, and learning how to channel it and balance it and deal with it has been our part of our task. I think as a youth culture, as coaches and educators and leaders, we have to continue to be better at that. And I'm going through a leadership course right now that has completely blown my mind on what leadership looks like. And I've been doing this for a while, so it's scrambled me a little bit in the point of where it makes me get better at trying to help our players with these things you're talking about. But I think it's really daily understanding that it's day-to-day goals that you set for the players set for themselves, having clear and defined team missions and objectives, and then keeping you in line with them, and knowing what's tolerated and what won't be tolerated. And it kind of helps players move on to that next set, because, give you an example, a bunch of my 07s and my daughter being one of them will be in college next year, and they have no idea what it's like to go into college and deal with that pressure cooker. So it's a constant, I won't say battle, but evolution on helping them with these things.
All right, cut the promo for me. When's the national semifinal? When do folks need to gravitate to everything North Carolina Courage so they can see you guys take on Tennessee SC on the right-hand side of the bracket? Hit the promo for me.
Yes, we play this Saturday, July 13th at 6:00 p.m. at Wake Med on field number 2. We'll be out there, start warming up about 5:15-ish and kick off at 6:05.
Looking forward to it. As always, Coach, great to catch up with you this time of year. Great to catch up with you all the times that we get to do that. But normally when we catch up with you, it means that North Carolina Courage are making another deep playoff run. Thanks for dropping by the morning show. Good luck this weekend. We'll be keeping an eye on you as you're in the Final Four there in the USL-W League, chasing after another championship.
Thanks, John. I appreciate you guys, and have a great rest of the day.
There we go. That's Coach Davis. And it's
Coach.
Great to catch up with Coach Davis and find out what's going on there at North Carolina Courage. So we've had a lot of stuff this morning.